Hey guys, welcome to the very first episode of Kingdom Heirs podcast. My name is James Matalone, and I'm here today with my wife, Megan.
Hello.
My second-born daughter, Giovanna.
Hi.
My third-born daughter, Valentina.
Hello.
And the other clan is not here right now. But we just want to take a moment to introduce you to our show. We're grateful that we can be here finally after so many years of talking about launching this very concept, which is Kingdom Heirs. We are heirs of the kingdom, where faith meets business, inspiring kingdom-minded entrepreneurs. We want to invite God into our workspace. We want to invite God into our companies. We want to invite God into our business deals that we're making happen, because He cares about blessing the work of our hands. And so that's what we're here today to talk about how God wants to work through us, how He wants to expand His kingdom through the works that we do in the marketplace. And this is kind of just a natural way for us to kind of talk about what we do in our own lives, type of work that we do as a family, how we interact, and how we've lived for the past 20 plus years as entrepreneurs, and what it looks like, the good, bad, and the ugly. My wife and I will have opportunities to interview other like-minded couples, also entrepreneurs, and just have that real talk about how do you do it? How do you go from making nothing to making millions? And how do you sometimes lose it all and then build it back up? How do you handle stressful moments where you always feel like you're in the next big push for the next just big hurdle, the next big mountain, that we just get over that top, then everything's going to be okay? And then to find out that, there's another big mountain just on the other side. And those are things that we want to talk about, because as a family, we experience that all together. As entrepreneurs, we're constantly talking. We're constantly sharing. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is where we're at. This is what we're trying to do. And we need the encouragement of our family. And so that's the goal of this podcast, is to bring that high level concept of what we do every day at work, whatever it may be. I happen to be a builder, happen to be developing commercial real estate. We have several different companies, which we'll talk about over the course of the show. But in that, as a family, how we get involved in that. Each of our kids, of our older kids, have worked with us in the office, in the warehouse, and to do different things. And so they have insight as well, good, bad, and ugly, which I think is going to be fun to hear. And there's the aspect of church. How do we get involved in the church life? What does that look like? Ministry, is it really separated from our life? Is it in a box? Is it only on Sundays that we do church, or is church every day? And what does that really look like? So again, that's going to be kind of the ideas of what we go through. We've got some great people queued up to interview and to hear their stories as well. Megan and I just kind of chatting across the table with them, and so we're excited to get rolling with that. So again, thank you. This is the first one, but it's the first of many to come. So thank you for being with us today. So Meg.
Yeah.
You nervous? Maybe. Good.
No, not a bit.
Okay, cool. We've got Giovanna. Giovanna, how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
20 years old. Valen?
I'm 18.
18. So that means...
I don't know how it's possible. We started having kids when we were 12, apparently.
We are quite young and still good looking, as I like to say. Meg, how long have we been married?
21 years plus.
Megan and I both are from upstate New York, originally born and raised, and we are now actually living in the coastal bend, the beautiful Corpus Christi, sparkling city on the bay of Texas, if I didn't specify. And we've lived here now with, going on 13 years?
Yeah.
Dude, I'd be going on 13 years. And so we have together, how many children?
Altogether, 5.
5 children between me and you together, right? They're all ours.
Is there something I don't know?
They're all.
I thought we just said 5.
So they're all ours. We have 5 children together. We have a big range. Our oldest, we got married. I love to kind of give premise to this. I just turned 20 when I got married. When we got married together, just turned 20. We celebrated our very first wedding anniversary in the hospital with a beautiful gift of...
On BOGO, buy one, get one free.
Buy one, get one free twins. We had twin girls, Michaela, who's our firstborn, baby A, and we have baby B sitting across the table from us. That's Giovanna. So happy to have that moment where the first year we're celebrating twin babies, and then we had 18 months later another surprise.
I wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, that's right. No
She was
surprise. No surprise at all. Valentina. So
She was planned.
18 months later, we had Valentina Clara, and super excited about when Val got here, because then we had 3 little girls under the age of 2.
Yes.
That's nuts. I was 23, I think. I think I was just 23 when I was not even 23 yet by the time Val was born. And so in that, we started life very hard and fast. We bought our very first house when I think we closed on it the month before we got married. You moved into it first. And so you were like preparing the house for us. And I was 19, just turned 20. You were a little bit older. We don't want to talk about your age, but obviously you're a little bit older. And that was amazing. The fact that we could buy a house. I think I had a credit score of, I don't know, 500. I have no idea.
No. I think
What's the lowest you can have?
No, both of our credit scores combined were like 500.
This was 2002. This was 2002, where they did manual underwriting, and they literally gave 2 people with no real credit. They gave us a mortgage.
I did have that American Express Gold with a $100,000 limit, so.
Yeah, but it wasn't. But
legit.
it also wasn't maxed out, and that was very dangerous because you had to pay it back every month.
Yeah.
So, but it was your Macy's card. I think the fact that you had a Macy's card got us to the point where we can get a mortgage.
You heard it first. Macy's gets you a house.
Yeah, Macy's gets you a house. It was 50% interest, but you paid it every month, so you avoided the interest payments, right? So we started very hard and fast, and we had a home right in Albany, the capital of New York. I think we paid. I love talking about this because it's part of the fun. We paid what, 40. Megan, we looked at how many houses?
We paid $42,000 for it.
$42,000 for this house. It was a bungalow, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 2-story, in the hood. We heard gunshots at nighttime, and we had people getting busted and arrested on our stoop. And I'd open the door and say, "Officer, need any water? You doing okay over there?" And they're like, "We're good. Go back inside."
No. You would wear your shirt that said police, and you'd go out there and try and be official.
No, okay, look, I had a blue police shirt. It was a blue shirt, navy blue with gold lettering saying police on it, or yellow lettering, yellow. And the music, we were sitting up, because it's a funny story, but we were sitting at night, late at night. You guys were babies. Val was not born yet. And somebody was bumping their music on their stoop down the street. And I said, it's like 12 o'clock. They need to shut that music down, right? So, of course, this young hothead me, I open the door. Meg's like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'll be back." I'm walking beeline into this guy sitting on a stoop. I think he was probably a drug dealer, because that was like the drug house, where houses were just, people were constantly going in and out. And I walk up to the dude, puffed up, looking really strong and buff, because those were like I don't know, was I really buff and strong at this point?
No, you were like 150 pounds.
No, I wasn't. Don't say
You looked like a little boy.
I couldn't grow facial hair, but I was at least 165. In high school, I was the middle linebacker and the fullback, and we played Ironman football, small little Catholic high school in Schenectady, New York. And so, anyway, I was actually pretty ripped. And I played junior college football, which was legit. And that's how I met Megan. And she was like, "Whoa, this guy is ripped." Okay, never mind. So that wasn't the deal. So here's the point. I walk up to this hoodlum, and I was like,
going to talk about how
I was like, "Hey, you
ripped in high school."
Yeah, we actually didn't talk. You guys don't know the story. Maybe you don't.
The abs didn't last.
Okay, but real quick. I walk up to this kid, and I'm like, "Hey, do you mind shutting your music down, please? It's really late. I got babies trying to sleep." And he was like, "Yes, sir. No problem, sir. We'll take care of it. I'm on it." And he quickly shut it off and went back in the house, right? I'm like, "Oh, that was really good. Thank you, God. That was really good." And I'm walking back around, and I look down, and I realize that I have my police shirt on. So it was so funny. And Meg's like, can't believe you did that. I'm like, yeah, yes, I did. I didn't even realize I had my police shirt on. I could have got shot. But I didn't. And the music shut off. And so that's our Albany house. We bought it for $42,000. We lived there for what, a year and a half?
Yep,
2 years.
Oh, no, not that long.
We found out Val was on the way, and we're like, man, we need a bigger house.
Yep.
And so we went and we found a house out in the country,
Yep.
Fort Hunter. It was a little hamlet town, right? Foreclosed house.
Yeah, it was cool because it had a carriage house and also had that outhouse with the 2 pots in it.
Double Potters, an
Yep.
1850s house, 1873.
Yep. And it was also missing like one side of it. It was completely
The carriage
exposed
house?
to the elements. No, the main house. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was another couple there that were looking
Oh,
at
it was the house
and
was
the
in
the
tough
woman was
shape.
walking around, and yeah, the house is like open, totally exposed walls, and
You're talking
this-
about inside the house, not outside. It was half gutted, you mean?
where we made Valentina's room, that wall was missing.
Yeah.
Because I remember being up there, and the other family that was looking at the house, the woman was pregnant, and she's like, "You're gonna buy this house, aren't you?"
Yes, I
And she was
am.
crying. I'm like, "Yeah, we are."
Yeah, we're gonna buy this house. It's
Yeah.
funny. We worked with for the guys out there that know what OPM is. We had a good friend who became a very good friend who helped us buy our very first house. His name's Richard. We all know he has become a great friend. He and his family, he and his wife, and he helped us close on the very first house. We scraped every penny together to buy the Albany house. We call it Sand Street. Every penny together to buy that house. And we got to the closing the day before the closing, and we were short. It was the day of the closing.
I know. My parents gave us money too.
They even gave us money. Yeah, it was a big deal, right? And we were short $556, something like that. And Richard's like, "Hey, this is the HUD one. This is where it's at. This is what you got to bring to closing." And we're like, "Richard, we don't have enough money." And he's like, "Meet me at XYZ in 30 minutes. I'm like, "Okay." So I met him over there. He handed me the cash, and he says, "You will close on this house."
Yep.
It was a God moment. Super powerful. Super, super powerful. And so we closed on that house. And since that day, from that day forward, I think we've owned, I don't know, how many houses now? 10, 7 houses? We've lived in a ton of houses. But we've owned a lot of, maybe 7 or 8 houses until we built our first. We've owned a lot of houses.
I thought the count was like 15 for living in them.
No, when we stayed at a hotel, you guys called that home.
Yeah, so
we also called living in a van home too, because we did that for a
I guess-
while.
Funny, we drove to Florida.
I guess what
and
I'm-
told people we lived in a van.
So I guess what I'm not telling you guys is that. So I guess what I'm not telling you is that Megan and I are basically flippers. And the fun thing that we did was, and it started with the first one. We didn't know we were flippers when we bought our first house. And we didn't really know we were flippers when we were trying to move to the country because we needed more space. And that first house was what, 1,200 square feet, 900 square. It was really small. And the next house was like 3,000 square feet. Because when you move in the country, in the middle of nowhere, you get a lot of house for really like cheap. And that was a foreclosure. That was $57,000. We bought that house with OPM, which is other people's money. And it was a private lender and loaned us the money to purchase it. And then gave us the money to renovate it. And once we finished renovating it, we went and did a home equity. Cashed out home equity. We paid off the lender, and we had some extra cash sitting there. And so the cool thing is that we've bought old fixer-uppers, and then we would live in them while we fixed them up. Which I say is cool, but I mean, they were too young. They had no idea. As long as we had VeggieTales on, they were like, "This is great. We love
And
VeggieTales."
Curious George.
And Curious George, the monkey. And what?
Yeah,
Wonder Pets.
I mean, I
Pets.
remember one time, I think it was the Cahoe's house. The last house we flipped it before we moved to Texas was, we moved in there and we didn't have a fridge yet. So for milk,
Do not tell people
we
this.
put the milk outside because it was still cold. So
It was-
it was still cold outside, so the milk stayed fresh.
It's like Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, literally.
That was hilarious. I do remember that. Yeah, it was still snow outside too, no?
Yeah,
was snow.
because it was upstate New York. It was probably
Yeah,
June.
it was June.
Yeah.
It was April. We moved in for my birthday. Birthday
What
weekend.
what I think was important is when we bought that first country house was when we were pregnant with Valentina. We were about to give birth to her, and so we were approaching the what is this, 2000 and...
This is 2005.
Yeah, well, 2004.
It was
'cause she was
2004.
born in January.
Yeah.
It's 2005. This is when you started going off as an entrepreneur, was then.
True story.
We had done the renovation. We had a little bit of cash left over. It was good timing. That's when you had left.
I was 23. So
And that's when you had left working for other people.
Yeah, that's true. I was 23 years old.
The W-2, and you launched your own company at that point.
23. I've been, for 20 years, since 2005. Since 2005, so 18 years plus minus, I've been a 1099.
Yeah.
I've been a 1099. I've been an independent contractor.
So that was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. So I got out of high school. Okay, so it's always, backstory is really important to kind of know where you're at today.
Yeah.
And so my both of my parents were entrepreneurs. My grandparents were entrepreneurs. What I knew mostly from my father got a history degree back in the 60s, and then realized that he to become a teacher, realized that he didn't like teaching kids, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, because they had 14 kids.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I happened. Yeah,
Ironic.
Okay, so my mom and
That
dad,
works.
Nana and Papa had 14 biological children. And
Together. Yeah.
Yeah, not a blended family. And I happened to be the 12th born child. I had two sisters younger than me. And then with that, we have, I got 8, there's 8 boys and there's 6 girls total. So I'm the 8th son as well. So it's always interesting. But so in that, growing up as an entrepreneur, my father became a remodeling guy. He just started doing handyman remodeling because after teaching, he sold books door to door, realized that that's not going to pay the bills. He was newly married. They had 2 or 3 kids at the time. He went to go work for his Uncle John, doing handyman stuff. And then he's like, wow, I really like this. And he just learned. He learned how to do different trade stuff. And in that process, he's like, yeah, I really like this. I think he really liked the money he could make providing services for people of like just fixing things, building things. And so in that, he winds up moving from New Jersey. He was born in Brooklyn, moved to New Jersey as a kid. Then he wound up moving upstate New York to the Schenectady, Saratoga Springs area. He buys a piece of land with my mom, and they build a house. He had never built a house before. He built a house from ground up in 1964. 1964, they had 3 kids. And they built it for the foundation and everything. He did everything. He just get some day helpers to help him.
I thought Guy was his day helper.
The guy was like 5, 6 years. That's my oldest brother. He was 5 or 6 years old, picking up they were pitching a tent and they were hanging out on the property. So he was basically, Dad was watching the little boy, my brother, while he was building a house. It's kind of like me bringing Rocco, which is our youngest, to be part of a job site. It's kind of funny. Who's 4? But anyway, so that was a really cool experience, and that kind of propelled him forward into building many houses for people, building additions, doing all sorts of things. He went into building apartments, townhomes, motels, of retirement centers, multi-story, 8-story tall retirement centers. And that's really how my father, that's what he did to support our family for the first, I think, 25 years. And I was born at the tail end of that. And so in that, I was involved in construction stuff all the time, as young as 5 years old. That's my earliest memory, was being on a roof. On a roof. And it was a shed roof, and you had to go up the ladder to get there. So it was a 1-story. And we were helping pull the old shingles off. This was back in the 80s. So I'm sure there were child labor laws then, but it didn't matter. It's family.
Not when it's family.
It's family, right? Yeah, it's family.
Free help.
It's free help. Well, we got paid with cheeseburgers.
Valentina got paid with duct tape one time helping you.
Duct tape, yes, that's right. Fixing the pool, right?
Fill in the cracks.
Fill in the cracks, baby. Peanut butter fills in the cracks of the heart. Okay, so the point, though, is that I had been involved in very early life of construction, and I loved it. I'd go down the street, help the neighbors. They'd put in on additions, and I'd be on the bus, put the window down, like, I'm going to be right down. I'm coming. I want to help. Want to be part of it. And I was like 8 years old. So I'd ride my bike down there, and I'd spend 3 months, because it took about 3 months to build it. Mm-hmm. And at the end of that time, we finished. I got paid in a remote control truck. This is in the 80s, like 89. The coolest thing ever for like an 8-year-old was a big old truck. I was in 3rd grade, 4th grade. And so today, that the family, the hike camps, they still ask, "How's Jay doing? How's Jay?" And they're like 90. "How's Jay doing?" So I'm talking to my sisters. It's cool. It's cool. I asked them if they had a photo, but they said they didn't have any photos. But it's okay.
So is that still your currency to get paid with a
Remote
truck?
control cars.
I like to. Okay, so I like to barter. I love to barter. Guys who are in, self-employed, we can barter our services for other services. It's a ton of fun. I've come home with a lot of things.
Yeah, the biggest thing was the pool table.
Oh, the pool table's super cool. That's a really nice pool table. Yeah, we were working on a house recently, and 5 years, 6 years ago.
It was a while ago. I remember you also bartered and got us a scooter.
Yeah, scooter was awesome.
The moped.
The moped, the Vespa, Vespa.
I don't know.
It was cool. It went go-go. It went vroom vroom. We'd go get milk and ice cream on that thing to the HEB. That was super fun.
So to summarize what he's saying is that he's a 3rd-generation entrepreneur. So us kids are 4th-generation entrepreneurs.
Well said.
So it's a generational line of business-focused, self-employed, providing a service for other people in exchange for their money.
That's right.
Their money
Or their goods.
Or their goods.
Or their
Or
wares.
other random stuff. Yeah.
Because it's fun. Services, when we provide services, we're basically just providing however we can meet the need of our neighbor. And the neighbor could live across the street, could live, 5-10 miles away. And we're meeting their need. And the way I've met that need since a young person is with my hands of trades, construction, renovating, and so forth. I started out worked for my brother, minus all the pizza places that I worked at. I think I worked in like 5 different pizza places in New York growing up. As early as 6th grade, I started folding boxes in 6th grade at the local Pizza Time down the street. I'd count the boxes every Friday and Saturday night. I'd make the boxes, and I'd count the wings in the walk-in freezer. And they'd have totes of wings, buckets, and my hands would be frozen because they were frozen wings. You have to break them all off. And they paid me $5 out of the register a night. And I thought that was awesome. And I can eat as many slices of pizza as I wanted. And so that was super cool. I had a paper route as well in 6th grade. Delivered the weekend paper, which was the big heavy one with all the circulars.
Yeah, the sales
circulars.
and the comics.
We would deliver in the snow. Because there is snow about 6 months out of the year there. And so my dad would wake up really early, and he'd see me out there with my bicycle with a big the paper bag. You could only fit like 8 papers in there, and I had about 75 papers. So I would have to go deliver them down the street, go back to the house in snow, riding in snow, load up as many more as I could. And so he would see that, and he would wake up at like 5:30 in the morning, and he'd get in the big conversion van, and he'd say, "Jay, come on, I got you." And he would drive me. He'd drive me. And I would just run back to the van, and it was a ton of fun. I did that for 2 years. I got fired from that job. I delivered all the papers in a really windy day without any rubber bands. And literally, there was like 15 complaints that people didn't get their papers. I mean, they did get them. They did get them, but the wind got them first. So they literally just said, "Yeah, you're no more papers for you."
The wind had to stay up to date on the news.
Yeah, the wind had to stay up to date on the news. Wow. Okay, so those are early years. I did driveway seal coating when I was 15. My brother and I, Michael, we pitched together. He got the car. I had the muscle. We made up flyers. We made flyers. We made business cards. We made brochures. We went door to door knocking when I was 15 years old, and we would seal coat driveways. Okay, that's like painting asphalt driveways, if for reference. 10 cents a square foot. We literally would say, knock on the doors and say, "We measured your driveway to be $450. If you want to start now, sign here. Let's go." And so we literally were hustling and making a ton of money as high schoolers. I think it was in 10th grade. By 12th grade, they had a newspaper article written on me as a young entrepreneur. I think it was like the evangelist of the Capital District evangelist. So that was really cool. Mm-hmm. And so I was still doing that when I met you. And so, but that's a seasonal job. It's not a regular job. It's a seasonal job. But my brother called me up. My brother Guy has a payroll company, and he says, "Jay, you need to get out of that pizza place. And you need to come and get a proper job." Because I had withdrawn from school and with an injury. which we need to tell. We'll tell that maybe the next episode. We'll tell about why I had to maybe I'll tell you why we had to withdraw from school for medical reasons shortly after I met Megan. That'd be a really interesting story, maybe in the next episode. But let me close with this. My brother Guy calls me and says, Jay, you're going to come work for me, and you're going to learn how to work in an office, and you're going to do customer service, you're going to answer the phones, and you're going to help us with some tax filing things.
Isn't that when you also got your new name?
And this, so my brother did say, he says, today, working for me, you're no longer going to be Jay, you're going to be James, because James is more professional. And I said, okay. Little did I know that I found out later, he was the person that helped influence my name at birth. He influenced my mom and dad to name me James, because there was this lawyer he really liked. He thought it was great. And Guy, mind you, is 15 years older than me. He's at least 15 years older than me because of this big family gap. And I respected Guy greatly and looked up to him wonderfully, like a second father to us. And so in that, I became James and no longer Jay, which everybody else knew me as, or JJ. And that really entered me into the mindset of what business is, what is professionalism, how do you interact with customers. And I was 18, and I worked there for 4 years, and that kind of cues us into how we launched into our own business. And so, I just want to kind of wrap up this first episode, and I think we're going to pick up in the next episode here in just a minute with the launch of our family and what that looked like. Our relationship with God and how that really became our foundation for our family, and Megan and I can talk and share about that. But with the whole hope that I have and the burden that I have, is I want to be able to share with people that living life as an entrepreneur does not need to be lonely. It does not need to be where it's just you and you have no support around you. It's not something that you need to feel like you don't really have people that understand you, because all of those things are true. You can feel isolated. You can feel like people look at you like you're a failure because you try all these things and they don't work out. And so they look down at you. They just tell you got to get a job. We've had conversations about that for years, about just got to get a job. Just give up on that. Just get a job. And so I just want you guys to know, guys and gals, that it's a real life. Entrepreneurs are very special people, and their families, I think, are very special. I may be biased on that, but we are kind of a special breed, and we are very valuable to the kingdom of God. I think there is a big need that needs to be talked about how we can bring the salt and seasoning to people's lives. And it has to do with our perspective of how God loves us, how he sees us, and what type of utensil we are in the body of Christ. And so we'll get into that in the next episodes coming up. But thank you for being here today, ladies. And guys, thanks for queuing in with us and being a part of this with us. It's a journey. We've got a lot of great people that we're going to be bringing on this show here locally in our area, friends of mine that I've known for years, but also nationally as well. And the cool thing is that over time, we would appreciate your feedback. We want to hear from you. And if you've got questions that you would like to hear from our perspective, bring them on. Megan and I will be on a regular basis. And so we hope to be releasing a regular number of episodes every week. And so your engagement with us matters. This is why we're doing it. We want to reach you, and we want to share our life with you, and we want you to share with us as well. So thanks again. We're glad that we got to be a part of this, and we'll see you on the next one.